Hi students, welcome to the lecture of the International Logistic Management for the ICUTK. And today we will be talking about the chapter 8, which is the customer services in the logistics. And here's the main topic for today, which is the customer services in the logistics. And we will divide into three main topics, which is the meaning and the concepts of the customer services in the logistics, and the element associated in the customer services, and the dimensions in the customer services in order to measure for their performance. And from here we will go one by one. And before we go into the details of this lecture, I would like to let you see this picture that I show you. You can see and you can think about whether you agree with it. Yeah, customer is kings, always kings. If you can think in terms of the organization that you have the customers, and then you only able to survive when you could satisfy customer and you have got the bunch of the customer who come and return to use your products or services. And that is the way the business is running in all over the world. Then all organizations, they definitely need to protect and satisfy the customer all the time. So for here a little bit more detail whose customers are. Imagine that if you open some shop and the random guys, they come straight to your shop and say to you, hey, I would like to buy something from you, and then they start negotiate with you about the terms condition, and then later on the price before they decide to buy from you. Or if you are the manufacturer of some products, and then there might be the big traders who would like to buy your goods in bulk, and then you start a discussion regarding the contracts and the way to send the product to the destination. And after that one, they issue the PO to you. Or might be the random guy come to you again, but then their order size is different. Maybe they just would like to have only one or two pieces, and you're happy to sell for them. Or if you are the logistic company, then there might be some company that contact you and would like to use your services to send their product to the destination. So all of them, what I give you an example, they are all customers. Or you can give here in the details, in the easy definition, that the customer is a person or the organization that buys goods or services from the stores or the business. So store and business is your company. So what you are selling, and then those random guys who come to your door and then ask for your product, would like to use your product, would like to try your product, would like to negotiate for the better price before they decide. They are all the customers. Then the customer can be categorized in many sectors depending on the type of the businesses. Just like the business to the customer, also called the B2C, or the business to the business, B2B, customer to the business, C2B, and the customer to the customer is the C2C. In common business world, so for the B2C, it can be just like the restaurant, or can be like you open some small shop like the bakery house, can be the example of the B2C. But if you are the B2B, it's just like you are the suppliers of the raw material to another production site. Maybe you are the RM supplier. I give you here. And for the customer to the business, it can be so-called just like you you would like to send back the reused product or the recycled product to the recycle factories so that they can convert your recycled product back in the shop again, something like that. Recycle. Okay, I just write it here. And the C2C, which is commonly seen in the modern era, which is you got a platform and then so somebody sell something to another to somebody again in the shop, just like Lazada, just like the Shopee. Okay, Lazada, I just write it here. Lazada, sorry that I need to write it down there. And so any type of the customer, so you just need to understand what your customer want, and the importance of the business goal is to satisfy them. Here I already give you the very big highlight. So customers supposed to buy your things or not, it depending on if they are happy about the condition or the product that you have or not. If it is, then definitely that your customer will buy the product from your company. So we already understand is the customer in terms of the general business. And when we would like to squeeze down in more in the logistics side, then the customer in the logistics, it can be anybody at the destination of your delivery. Because if you think about the logistics, then we concern about the delivery. And then when we have to deliver something, then you need to have a destination. So destination can be anybody, it can be any party, ranging from the consumer, the customers, the retail stores, wholesale businesses, warehouses, receiving dock, or for manufacturing plant. It really depending how you're gonna define your destination. It can be inside your organization, but in your logistic network. Just like if you are the suppliers in the city A, and then you would like to send something to the city B, which is your production plant is there, then you need to find a way, and the production plant in the city B will be automatically your customer. And the way that you need to find the best logistics solution is under your objective. Then the logistic, the same that I would like to recall the definition I discussed in the very first chapters, which is the goal for the logistic. Actually, it's not only for the you can aim for the timely and accurate product, but if you remember the 6R, if you can remember this one. So the 6R, which come from the product, right product, right place, at the right time, at the right quantity, at the right condition. And the last one, if you can think, you can help me think. Yeah, is at the right price. You need to serve everything, but do not forget about the price, that the customer will be also most concerned. Even you already got all the service to be good, but sometimes if it's too much pricey, then the customer wouldn't be happy as well. And this is the objective for you, for the organization, to serve your customer in the logistics side. Then when we talk about the customer, you can imagine about the associated operation as the customer. In order to satisfy them, we definitely call it the customer services. So when we talk about the customer services, it's very subjective term, but you can imagine if you walk in the stores, and then, or maybe you can just walk to the 7-Eleven, okay, 7-Eleven, and then you see the shopkeepers come to say hello to you with a very nice smiles, and you grab something, and then when you come back to to the kiosk, ready for check out your goods. Then they checking out and then ask you for more questions, just like whether you would you like this salapao, would you like to have the shao mai, or any kind of food, or you would like to refill the money, refill your e-wallet, something. It's a kind of the internal thing from personally to the customer. If you are the customer, you have been asked like this, you've been asked about that such question, what you can think about? They interest, they interest to you, they care about you, interest, they care, right? And then they try to remind you something if you supposed to forgot. Maybe it can be any time that you would like to pay a bill, but if when you walk through the store, maybe that kind of task is being forget from your mind for some reason. And then when you come back to the staff of the 7-Eleven, and then they remind you about this one, and then you just pop up, yeah, I need to do it. So you feel happy about the service with them. So that is why we call it like the customer service. Or when you go into the restaurant, right? You go into the restaurant, and then you'd have no idea, and then you ask the waiter about any recommendation for dish for tonight. And then maybe the waiter, they see they see you come with your couples, and then they would like, they might think about, okay, what can be romantic romantic dish, or the romantic assortment of the order that they could provide you. They recommend you, and then they encourage you that you need to order something very special for your loved one in the special night. So some small things that the staff of the organization do, it can be it can be the starting point of the bigger thing, or the happier things for the customers. So, but you can see that this one couldn't be done without the process or the personal mind from the staff, working staff there. Then the definition for the customer services is what? Is the customer service is the sum total of what organization does to meet customer expectation or and produce customer satisfaction. Sometimes, so not only to meet, but sometimes is to make it beyond their expectation. That could be also another wow factor, that they will please on your product or services. Then what can be done for the customer service? It it can it's normally can, many things that you can do for the customer service, but basically you can come back to what's so-called the teamwork. So you have the service, customer service, definitely the service you can see here. So you have got the good teamwork, you have got the good partnerships, and then so it go down into the personal level, that each staff, they have the good mindset regarding the customer service, and then they can do in the several things inside the organization to improve the customer service as a whole. And I already give you the brief understanding about the customer service. But anyway, so we can think a little bit more in the theoretical terms, in detail. So I mean that the customer service is actually they define in the in to many process. And here the National Council of the Physical Distribution Management, they already give a statement regarding the elements of the customer services into three parts. And and you can imagine how they divide into three. So if you have got the customer, then when the customer, they didn't buy the product from you yet, right? So you already start the good customer service from that point to make them feel good to you, and then so they start making their interest in the product before they decide to buy it. So we call it the pre-transaction set element, or you can see that is the kind of the customer service happen before the transaction is made. And after the transaction is made, or maybe you can say that the customer already confirmed to use your product or services, then the customer service will become the customer service as a transaction element. So that means so it related to the transaction is the real customer service. And after the product was delivered to the customers, or you already finished the service to the customer, then there will be the last customer service element, so-called the post transaction. It's kind of to check about the feedback, whether the good or service is is good for the customer, they are really satisfied, or whether they have got any comments or any feedback that we need for further improvement. So the element in the customer service is in previous slide, we already give you an introduction regarding the area in the customer services, like the pre-transaction, transaction, and the post-transaction. And for this slide, we will go a little bit more details in each one, and we will talk for it one by one. Let's recap again. For the pre-transactional services, is what does it mean? So it means is the any activities that you do in order to support the customer decision, or to help the customer to understand about your product or service. In terms of the logistics, it will be the same, that you try to provide some information to make the customer to be confident, and then they decide to purchase or to use your service. So what it can be, in this slide you can see here from the written statement. What does it mean? The written statement is that, so you give them the description about the service, like if you do the logistic, and then you could explain everything about what you have and what you could service to the customer, or any product type that you could do for different requirements. And for the statement in hands of the in hands of the customers, so that one is also support to the written statements. The organizational structure, this is to let the customer to be confident about the system readiness, and about the teamwork that you could have when they decide to purchase or to use your product. And the flexibility is mean you can be flexible regarding the different type of the customer, because each customer, as you might already understand, one will be different from each other. And then for anyone, then you would think that, oh, they might use not only use your product you have, but sometimes you need to think about what could be best accommodate their need. Sometimes your system should be more flexible than it should be, to support or cover more customer service level. And for the last one is about the technical service. This one is aside from the written statement, that in case customers still have any question that it might not be written there, they can still you can still have any staff to answer the question or some concerns. After they already see all of your pre-transaction, and then they feel confident to purchase your product, then it will be at the transactional level. So that means, so any customer service that happen between during the transaction, then they already used your service, or they already purchased your product, then it will be here. So in terms of the logistic management, it will not be that much, rather than you give them an information about what is the shipment status, what is the any circumstance, and when is the expected lead time to reach the destination or whatever. Anyway, the customer service during the transaction could happen in some urgent circumstances, just like the stock out. This one is also one of the logistic problem when you have got the unparalleled the logistic network, or something happen or some incident that make the production stop. Then what is the good customer service over there here? That you mean you need to have like the ability to recover your status to be back to normal in order to save more delay that would make the customer feel unhappy. And then you need to have also the substitution sometimes, so that if like the stock outs have happen occur, or like you cannot provide the service that customer could have, you should have some alternative to offer to your customers. And about the convenience for customer to look into the service and to let them know about the information. So this one, you should have the good information flow to support them. And after everything is done in the transaction term, it would be the post transaction. It should be anything that you might need to provide to the customer after they finish the shipment is complete or the service is complete. It still be anything that is still remain effective after the transaction was done. So what is that? The first thing that you should understand is about the warranty. For anything that you already been said, it might be broken somewhere around during the shipment, then you should have the warranty here. This is so-called. And sometimes so you should have a good feedback team to receive the customer complaint or claims for anything happen. And product packaging is also the post transaction here, and the temporary replacement of the product during the repair. So this one, it could be happen if like the product was broken somewhere, as what I explained to you previously, and you could let them use any refurbish or the alternative during the time of the repair. So these are the example of the customer. But what I would like you to understand is that the area of the customer service, it can be defined in more terms. But what you should understand is about the time happen. Time happen of that activities is to be the way you classify whether that customer service activity is happen during the pre-transaction, transaction, or post-transaction. And when we already know about the types of the activity happening in as the customer service, then in your business, the activity shouldn't be the same as what I give it to you in the last slide. It can be anything that you would think that is most suitable for the pre-transactional, the transactional, or the post-transactional. It really depends. But anyway, that's the way that you could define what is the best activities for your customer service. In here, we will replace the name of the activity as the deliverable. What is a deliverable? It is something that is the result of what you plan for. The deliverable can be in terms of the product or in terms of the service. It can be any. Okay, I will write down in here product, product or service. Either one of those you can see here. What you need to do is just simply follow these 4 steps. The first one is you need to set a goal for your customer service, what you plan to do, and the plan what you do, then it will be done by who or to whom. It's like it would be the person, and to whom and for which impact, that what is your objective for them, for this particular person, and then you just define it in terms of the deliverable to support the goal. In here, in terms of the customer churn rate, for example, they would like to have the customer churn rate only 5%. What is the churn rate? Churn rate is just like if you have got the subscription service and the customer churn rate is that the 5% out of 100% is will stop the subscription. That means so they are going out, not using your service anymore. Then this one is kind of the goal that you would like to achieve. It might be coming from very high churn rate, like 20%, 10%. You would like to squeeze down to only 5% here. Then you must think that who are associated or related to these activities. First, for this example, they think that okay, one of that it must be the customer themselves, and another one is a customer service team, and then we go one by one. For the customer, then they use the product daily. They understand what they understand what the thing is, and they interact with the communities. Okay, then so in terms of deliverable that they need to support this impact, then they need to have the productive, because customer they use the product every day or every week or every hours. Then sometimes you need this one in terms of the service to support the product daily. And when the customer they use, and then they might have an opinion and they would like to share, they would like to show off the things, then the customer service, another one is the share function, that you could let the customer to share to promote your product indirectly as well. So this is the example of the deliverable that you can think from the impact of the actors. Another one is for the customer service team. You would like them to go extra miles, then you would like them to understand more what it is, then they should have the feedback form, and you would like to have them to resolve the problem faster when anything happen. So you need to have the live chat. So this thing is support extra mile and to solve the product faster. And if you can do this for deliverable, then what you can expect? Then you can expect that this impact will support you for the better churn rate. And now you understand about the element of the customer service and the example how you come up with the deliverable of the customer service. But do not forget that the customer, they will keep changing their mind over time. As time goes by, it might be some kind of time that the new thing comes and or the new trend is coming, or sometimes it just be only a fad, or sometimes it become a fashion, and sometimes so it's totally changed the customer behavior. And as you are an entrepreneur of the organization, you need to understand and develop the combination that will satisfy the customer all the times. Then it will be the very interesting and the challenging job that you need to keep update your information to understand your customer every day or every time that this information might be needed for in-depth study. Then in terms of the marketing, the in-depth study of the customer, as what I mentioned here, is the key to identify the opportunities of the product or the service that they would prefer to use. For example, in terms of the logistics, if you understand in this moment, you would see a lot of people like they got the phone on the hand, right? And then they can search in everything. And at this moment, when the modern era has come, so right now it's not only can use for chatting, for surfing the internet, for listening to music, but they can also do shopping, right? They can also even call the cab or the taxi. taxi. Okay, so that means right now the new product is come from listening to the feedback or what the customer actually want at that time and come up with the new idea. Or sometimes you can see the example, another one, that maybe the customer, they might satisfy with three choices of color. Maybe they have got three colors that they want, like the red, yellow, and blue, something like that. But it should be more choices for the customer so that they can feel their mind that they have a lot of things to choose, and then they can decide to choose by themselves. So this one, they also have the positive things in their mind, that they have right to choose what they actually want. Or even like they can do the lazy marketing, which come up to be a lot of the internet platform that you can see at this moment, like Grab or the Lazada, something like that. And do not forget that when you do the customer service, it should be the good time that you need to review yourself in every period, every setting period, I can say, so that you can measure the performance and also the feedback, the performance of your customer service, whether it is good enough or it must be improved or is outdated. Because as I can say to you that your existing customer service, it might be usable for for some certain times, and in the very near future, so it might be some big things change, and then your customer service, it won't work anymore. Do not forget to review your customer service performance by using the metrics and the so-called KPIs to measure it. And in the way to measure this thing, we normally measure it in different dimensions. And what I'm gonna say to you here, we will say in the main four topics. The first one is the availability. The second one is the performance. The third one is the consistency, and the fourth one is flexibility. For the first thing, the customer service in terms of the availability is that you have the things right when your customer very want it. So it's very common sense that you need to keep the stock as per what your customer anticipated. When the customer would like to think about the thing they want, and then they order you, you have it right in your stock, and you can deliver it as soon as possible. That is another type of the good customer service. Or even your product is not right in your stock at that moment, but it would be very least lead time to satisfy your customer. And there might be some KPI that you need to do in order to fulfill this dimension, just like the order ship complete. Yeah, so you ship it completely, right? Yes, customer satisfied, definitely yes. And the stock out frequency, you should keep it least, because if you have a lot of the stock out, then you can understand that it would be the bad things to the customer. Your customer might be frustrated, and then they would change the supplier if the stock out is happening too many times, and feel it in the percentage of your order that are shipped in full and on time. These three things, you can use it for the measure in terms of the availability. Yeah. And for the second dimension is, we call it the performance. So in terms of the performance of the customer service, it can be measured in many aspects. But in terms of the logistic, then we talk about in the operational way. So that means, so you, for example, that about in the shipment basis, then the performance is generally defined in terms of the time. It's the simplest way, and we call it the performance cycle speed. In short, you can understand from this part, it's the time after the customer place the PO until they get the product. And this is commonly used in many logistic company to measure about their speed. in every sector, because like if they seemingly the shipment time is too long, so that they can look into detail that in which department or which station that they still have a lot of backlog. And in order to measure this performance in this era, you need to understand that there is depending on the type of the business or the technology limitation and the communication method that they use, and the order cycles of each product or each company. It can be vary in many ways, or like in a very wide range of time. Something like if you talk about the pizza delivery, like the pizza, you can understand if you order the pizza, right? So the time that you would expect, it should be only for 30 minutes in average. That in 30 minutes, the customer should get their order. But if you think about you are the big machine manufacturer, okay, the the performance, it might not be 30 minutes. It should be like quite significantly longer. It depending on how difficult they procure the raw material, how difficult they fabricate each components before they make an assembly to be one single machine to you. It might be very up to 1 year. It really depends. So depending on their history or the historical record about the certain certain performance, that okay, they might in average they can get like 1.5 year per order, and then if they can improve to 1 year, then it should be very significant improve. So to measure the performance, normally we will call in terms of the speed, but for the consistency and the malfunction and recovery, it can be partially related to the performance as well, even though it didn't like contribute in terms of the overall speed. But if you don't forget that, like if they got a lot of malfunction, then so it will affect to the overall speed of the shipment or the performance to the customer hand as well. And for the third one, so which I already mentioned before in the last slide, is about the consistency. What we call the consistency, then the consistency, that means so you remain your service level to the customer all the times as time goes by, and then you still able to service them in this level, in this standard, and then you are able to keep your standard over time. Just like the Pizza Hut, I can order the pizza in 30 minutes lead time. Since I was young until now, it may be already 20 years past. Then they still keep their good performance in terms of 30 minutes guaranteed delivery. It should be in this time, right? Because if in terms of, okay, we talk about in terms of the food, right? But if it would be some kind of the things that you need to stock for you to resell, like you are the trading, if the consistency could not be remained, then this one would directly affect to the customer, that they need to carry on the extra safety stock for themselves, because they don't know that when your factory would be also out of the operation, when your factory wouldn't be able to supply or support their needs, then this will reflect in the bad impression to your customer. You should be very aware of this one. And the consistency, how to measure the consistency, it should be in terms of the number of the failure or the downtime per failure or downtime. Okay, I write it down here. Failure or downtime, maybe per week or per month. It's really depending on each company, like how they would like to set for this dimension. But consistency is the way that you need to do not forget about it. And the last one is about the flexibility, which is the last part in terms of the customer service, because you are dealing with the various type of the customer. Then it should be the ability that you need to accommodate all of that need as much as possible, because if you can do that, then you open the opportunity of yourself that okay, you can receive more in terms of the inquiries, and then you can understand, and then you can cover more market for sure, right? Then we can give you some example in terms of the flexibility that you can do, like you can support the unique sale, or you can invite or invent the new product, or modify some part or some specific, or like let the customer choose what they actually want, right? And then you need to understand about the product, that it should be sometimes that product outdated, then you need to keep changing your product to be updated all the times, right? And when there is something happening, like abnormality or like the uncertainty, that you can have the thing that to support this kind of risk as well. So this or you can read here, the more thing is also the customization of the service level in terms of the specific markets. Like if your customer is in the condominium, then you should have the product that you can walk to their lobbies. But like if your customer is in office, then you should have the product that at least so they can deliver in a very crowded area. So that is kind of the examples, and the product modification as per the customer different requirement, that is definitely yes. So this is the key to measure your flexibility, and then you can like set in terms of the number of your product, number of the SKU, number of the routing you can offer, something like that. It can be the good part for the KPI for the flexibility. And here, so if you already understand about the customer service, right? You know about the element, you know about the how to improve it, and you know how to measure your customer service. And do not forget that the key is you need to serve your customer well, so that makes them happy. So this is a very core, and I already like talk about this in the very first of the beginning, that the customer is king. Then you need to do it one by one, that you need to understand what they need, and then you need to show you're sincere, that you would like to learn on them, you would like to study more on what they actually want. And then you need to not mumble about what you would like to offer. You need to be straightforward and make it clear that you understand what they need, and then you can give the pinpoint of the product. And after you already give the pinpoint of the product, then you are able to understand, and then so give them an introduction how the product works, or the demonstration of your product. And after they decide to use your product, do not forget that you need to make things as what you say, as what you have planned, as what you promise your customer. And if everything happy, then your customers might not end at that level. Maybe they still have some question. Do not forget to set the team to answer what they need. This is the introduction to provide the full loop service to the customer. And when you have a very good customer service, then you will open the opportunity to learn about the new things. So from the customer requirements, and then you can come up with the new idea or the new services that you can actually satisfy customer more. Sometimes we call it as the value added service. It's something that is surplus from what you have, or it might be already in the part of the compulsory the your general framework, but it actually add the value not only to the customer but also to your organization. The value added service, it normally not only customer could be beneficial, but also this one, it can increase the sales or like the price of that service to the organization, back to the organization as well. So in terms of the value added service, it can be defined in many in many types, as you can see here, but all things is customer centric. So they focus on what the customer need, and then they try to fulfill. And this kind of the value added service is not only for the customer that they can get, but also it improve about the effective or the efficiency of the internal process as well. And we can here divide it in four. So four types of the value added service. One is the customer focus, two is the manufacturing focus, three is the promotional focus, and four is the time focus. And the example of the value added service here you can see, just like the advanced shipment notification, the packaging. The packaging, it can definitely to be the example of the manufacturing focus. The mixed store ready palette, it can be also the manufacturing focus or the customer focus. The special pack, this one is maybe it beneficial to the customer and also the manufacturing. And the precise definitely time is time focus. In the packaging, this one is the manufacturing as well. And for the inner pack, it's also the manufacturing. The special shipment, it can be like you bundle something and then you can sell it all together. So this one, it would be benefit to not only for the customer, but also in terms of the promotional basis, that you can get you can sell more, you can say something like that. And special marking, this one is also support in terms of the promotional, or like to the customer that they can customize, or they can give the special marking for the custom users. Okay. And for the drop shipment is kind of the, I can say the drop shipment is like you didn't keep the stock with yourself, but you just, okay, you got the PO from the customer and then you just send it directly to the manufacturer, so that manufacturer, they can provide the logistic directly to the customer without touching you. So this one, you can save the time, and then you can also save more cost. So to say promotional. Point of sales, this one can be definite, obviously the promotional basis, and also for the customer basis as well. The direct store, this one is for the promotional and also the time, and also for the customer. And quick and continuous replenishment, this one is support in all aspects, what the customer need for the manufacturing, for times, and also for the promotional. So these are all example of what you can do aside from just make the general process. You can add something that you can satisfy your customer, and this one, it could be much more beneficial and provide more profit to your organization. And this is the slide to check the attendance for the all students. So the method will be the same. You just see the quiz I have written below and answer me back by the email using the email topic. And do not forget to change the chapter to be this chapter in the topic. And you need to answer me by email. Don't forget to send it to my email address. And here, that's all of what we have today. We already understand about the what is customer and how they're important to organization, and the customer, meaning of the customer, the element in the customer, how to learn and how to improve your customer service, how to measure the performance of your customer service, and the guide to the value added, and as well as the how to serve the customer. And hope that you enjoy and understand about this chapter, and see you in the next video. Thank you.